What if state borders changed? What would the US look like? Well, today I'm going to answer that. I have created a new United States of America. So I'm doing this on Canva, obviously, as you see. And we're going to make some new states. We're going to improve the country and just make it an overall better place. And for this, I thought the best start was in the West. First, I got my little white on, and then I moved to the West. And in Oregon and Washington, there's a lot of Republicans on the east side of them. So I decided to create that as part of Idaho so they'd maybe feel a little bit more represented, right? Because the west sides of them are very Democrat, and the right sides of them are on the right wing. So I thought, well, why not just make it part of the Republican state of Idaho, right? So as you'll see, we'll do that. Also, stay tuned for when I change the state names at the end because some of them have a new name, like Washington, and it's going to be fun to watch. So, I created this new state border pretty much midway into the states, and I was just figuring out how to work these little things on here. I don't have the premium version of Canva, so I can't really do that well, but I tried my best. I tried my best. Eventually, I figured it out, and I cut a little bit into the video, but I found out how to make a straighter border. I just did the same method, but it kind of lines up with California. It would be totally straight if I could get it like that, but I didn't really want to figure out doing lines or anything. So next, I moved around the U.S., and I thought, where else could I make a new state or split a state up? The perfect place? Well, Illinois. I mean, there's two major parts of Illinois. The country, right? The countryside, and Chicago. So why is Chicago not just its own state, right? So I split up the state of Illinois into Chicago and Illinois, right? Because that just makes sense. And then next, Michigan has a problem where it has the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula, just like Illinois. So I said, why not give the Upper Peninsula to Wisconsin? I mean, it just looks better, doesn't it? And it like feels more like it's Wisconsin anyway, right? And then I moved over more to the east and I thought, what could be changed? Well, I'm from Pennsylvania, and why does Pennsylvania not have a coastline? Just give up New Jersey. Jesus. Like, why is New Jersey there? Nobody likes New Jersey. So I decided to give New Jersey to Pennsylvania. That was a pretty simple decision. Now we have that whole Atlantic coast, and New Jersey doesn't get any of it. Ha ha ha. Now I moved down to the south, and I thought, what could be improved here? Why not give Florida a huge panhandle? Like it already has a big one, but why not just make it bigger? I mean, the coast of Mississippi and Alabama is pretty similar to Florida anyway. So why not just make it part of Florida, right? I mean, Mobile and Biloxi and Gulfport, pretty similar to Florida anyway, so it seemed like it was just a good option. And now Florida has all those casinos in Biloxi, and it's a better place, right? I don't know about better. I don't know if they want to have those people, but um, yeah, I made the Florida Panhandle longer. Now I moved on, and I was like, where else could I make two states? And well, obviously, you have California. I mean, California has so many people. So why not make California into a few different states? And I think there's a big split in California between the north and the south, right? You have San Diego and San Jose in the north. No, not San Diego. San Francisco and San Jose in the north. And Los Angeles and San Diego in the south. So why not just have a north and south divide? And then you kind of have that part of Eastern California, like Lake Tahoe and Joshua no, not Joshua Tree, King Canyon, and the Sierra Nevada range. That doesn't really seem like California that much. So I was like, why not just give that to Nevada? I mean, they could use a little more land, right? So I gave that up to Nevada, and I was like, oh, well, now you have three states instead of two, right? You have Northern California, Southern California. And then I was like, what other states could be split up. Well, I mean, there's really only one big option: Texas. And how could Texas be divided? We could divide Texas into like 5 different parts, but I just decided to do the same thing as California, and I split it up into 2 parts: the east side and the west side. I had to figure out where to put the east side, but I just put it on more. I put more eastern, so the west side would have more land because they still have less people. And now the east side has like Dallas and Houston, and the west side has like El Paso and Amarillo. I think San Antonio's on the west side too. I also kind of want to get rid of Oklahoma's panhandle and just give them that upper land because nobody lives there anyway. So I just decided to do that. So now Oklahoma is actually a bigger state. It could be now one of the top 10 biggest states in the U.S. with this extra land from Texas. So now you have there, Texas. And at this point, I felt like the U.S. was pretty good. I feel like we have a better United States at this point. So, I mean, oh, never mind. I'm kidding. Yeah, I think North and South Dakota have basically no people, so why should they be separate states, right? So it looks just so good when they're together. Look at that. Like, that just looks amazing. So now I have the task of naming these new states. What should I name them? I don't know. Put your comments down below of what I should name them. But I'm naming them right now. So first I started on the California coast, and I did for Northern California Francisco because I thought that sounded cool. Even though San Jose is bigger than San Francisco, I feel like San Francisco has a bigger impact overall. So I just thought, okay, well, make that Francisco instead of San Francisco. I thought that sounded cool. And then I did the same thing for Southern California, and as you could guess, I did Angeles instead of Los Angeles because I felt like, okay, Los Angeles is the biggest city down there, so why not just make it Angeles? And then I named Nevada, and I actually changed the name of Nevada because I thought it would be cool, and I did a better name than Nevada, Sierra, because of the, oh, no, never mind. Oops. I did Oregon. Never mind. I I moved to Oregon and I just did Oregon. But I did change the name of Washington because I thought Washington and Washington D.C. were too similar. So I just named that Olympic because the Olympic National Park, the Olympic Peninsula. I mean, it just seems fitting, right? Because it's now more just the Olympic Peninsula and Seattle and Washington, so it just seemed fitting. And then I moved to Nevada. Oh, never mind. I'm still not in Nevada. I named Idaho. Idaho's probably the second biggest state in the U.S. at this point now, with the new land from Oregon and Washington. Now I named Sierra. Now I did it. And then I moved down to Texas, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And this is going to be controversial, but just like West Virginia and Virginia, I thought, well, East Texas has more importance, so why not name the one side West Texas and then the other side just Texas? Because I feel like when you think of Texas, you think about the east side, not the west side. It's pretty simple. So if you're from West Texas, I'm sorry, but I don't really care about you. Then you just have Florida because Florida's Florida. It didn't change that much, right? And I think I did forget to name some of these states because I don't think I put a name for Dakota. And I spelled Superior wrong somehow. I changed that. And I just thought, okay, well, it's not Wisconsin anymore because it has that extra peninsula. So I'm like, what lake is near it? Lake Superior. Superior. It just makes sense. And now I moved down to Illinois, where I just named Chicago, Chicago, and then Illinois, Illinois. I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. You should try Poppy soda. I think it's really expensive, but it tastes good, and I'm drinking it right now. Yeah, so Chicago, Chicago, and Illinois is Illinois. Now, when I went east more, I thought about what should I name the new Pennsylvania? And I was like, well, I should name it Pennsylvania, right? Well, I mean, it is combined New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And what starts New Jersey? Well, there's a J in New Jersey, and that's the main letter, I feel like, of the whole name. So I'm like, Pennsylvania. That works out well. Jersey, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. And now Pennsylvania is like has the same amount of people as New York or more. Like probably more than Florida even. So that's a very important state. Now we're moving up to Massachusetts, and I thought those states look so small you can't even really recognize them. They're like a few pixels. So I'm like, why not just make one bigger state that's more near the size of like Maine or even New Hampshire? So I just did one state. And I mean, Connecticut and Rhode Island are so much smaller than Massachusetts that I just named the whole state, well, Massachusetts. I'm sorry if you're from Rhode Island or Connecticut, but I mean, it wasn't that hard of a choice. I was considering naming it like Boston or something, but I was like, well, that's a city, so why not just name the state after the biggest state from the region? So now the United States is completed. I hope you liked the video, and I think honestly this is a much better United States. Subscribe, please, too.